Hi, welcome to this lesson of kitchen inspection. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about how to inspect a kitchen and the things that you want to look for when looking at damages or no damage in a kitchen. So the first thing we do in any room is to talk about the total square footage of the room first. So we're here in a kitchen. We don't really have a specific loss as this is demonstrative, but let's assume that we have a hurricane loss, and so we want to scope this from the top down. We'll have a later section that talks about the order in which you scope. But no matter how you scope, the first thing that you want to do is figure out the dimensions of the room. So in this room, we're in an L-shaped kitchen with a missing wall. So the first thing we'll do is we'll get this width here. So we have the width of 12'9". By 23 even. So we've got this box here. Now we're going to step over and get the L-shape off section, which is right here. So assuming it goes from here, we've got an L-shaped section of 9'8" by 5'11". So this is this box, but one of the things that we have to make note of is that there is no wall here. So as we measured it as a box here and a box here. But the reality is we have two missing walls in that scenario. We have the wall that would be on this side of the box, and then the missing wall that's on this side of the opposing or congruent box. So actually what you would have is, as I took the first measurement, I don't remember what it was, so it was 10'3". So as you have the 10'3" section, it's actually 10'3" by the height times 2. So as you're putting that in the system, you're able to deduct that square footage from the overall square footage if you need to paint the walls or whatever you need to the walls. So just a quick idea on the idea of missing walls and how that factors into an L-shaped room. So now that we have the overall sections of the room, again, because we said we're going to simulate a hurricane loss, we're going to start from the top and go down. So it's going to always be ceiling, walls, and floor. One thing I didn't mention is if we look up, we see that we have a slanted or sloped ceiling. So again, just as a quick note, you would get the height at the apex, the peak of the apex roof. So in this case, we're going to go here, get this height right here. So we have that as a 12'10", and then we will go to the other side of the room and get the height there. And when you put those in, the software will calculate the square footage of this roof in a sloped area. So anyway, back to scoping. So if we imagine that we have some damage to the ceiling, we would note how much damage we have, what the square footage of that damage is, of what those damages are, and how many there are. So I've got one section over here that's got water damage. I've got one section here, hypothetically, that's got water damage, and one section here. So you're noting the quantity and the square footage of the damage. The next thing you're going to do is notate the type of material it is. So in this scenario, we have a drywall ceiling. We have beams that are on the outside, so we would actually have to measure those beams because you'd have to mask for the drywall repair around those in the painting. And then we're going to count the number of items that are in the roof. In this case, this kitchen has recessed lighting, so we're going to count the number of recessed light fixtures in the room while we're filming. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 13 recessed light fixtures in the room. I've got a stereo speaker, a carbon monoxide detector, and a glass break sensor. So you're going to note all those because you're going to detach and reset those if in fact you have some drywall repair to do. So once we get the ceiling done, we're then going to move down to the walls. So then we'll actually take a look at all of the walls. If the ceiling and the walls are different colors, we're going to note that. There's a break at the ceiling line. There's no crown molding. Again, narrating everything that you see as you see. There's no backsplash behind the cabinets, just the small backsplash on the countertop. Again, making notes of these things as you go along. So the walls are drywall walls. We already have all the dimensions. We have all the openings. We have the missing square footage. If there were damages to the cabinets, let's talk about measuring those cabinets and the several different dimensions that you would need to get to communicate those to the estimator. So we can start with lower cabinets, as good as any. So the island that we're on happens to be a double-faced lower cabinet. So that means there's cabinets on this side and cabinets on the other side. So you can't just get the linear footage of the island. We have to get the linear footage of all of the cabinets themselves that are affected. So a laser is the most or a tape measure is the most effective way to do that. So I have 4 foot to the turn. I have another 5 feet from this turn to here. And then noting on this side, we'll see later on, I've got a dishwasher on this side, so that's not really a cabinet, but I would still note for cabinet panels, the total area here is 4 feet, okay? Coming around, I've got a 14-inch lip on this side, and then on this side of the cabinet, I'm going to measure my cabinets in total. So I have 5 foot, 5 inches of cabinets there, and I've got another 2 foot, 6 inches of cabinets here. So now that I have that lower area, I can actually calculate my granite square footage from those dimensions as well, and I would simply go around measuring all of the lower cabinets as they existed. So again, I've got another bank of lower cabinets here. I'm going to measure those cabinets from the edge out. So I have 3 foot here. Same thing here. I've got 6 foot, 6 inches of cabinets on this side. And then finally, from the edge to here, I've got another 7 foot, 6 inches of cabinets there. So you see, you go around measuring each of the lower cabinets. Then we can move on to full height cabinets. So this bank of cabinets on this side has got a set of full height cabinets with a fridge in the middle. So what's important to note is this is a full height cabinet and that is a full height cabinet, but this is simply an upper cabinet placed on top and joined between. So you would not measure from here to the edge. You would measure this section plus that section, and then when you get into the upper cabinets, you're going to just measure this as an additional cabinet section. So to do that, our full height cabinets are going to be 3 feet plus an additional 3 feet 6 inches, and then so that's all of the full heights that are in this kitchen area. The final thing we'll do for cabinets is measure the uppers. Again, the same process as the lowers. You'll get the upper cabinet. Since we started here, we know that this is 4 feet. Again, I've got another cabinet here, 3 feet, and then around the balance of the kitchen, getting all of the kitchen cabinet heights. Now, this one, we've got a pretty large range and hood. Many times, this cabinet, this balance cabinet, and this valance cabinet are connected, much as it is here with the crown molding, but it's got a valance panel across the top of it. Again, you're going to want to make note of this is an upper cabinet, and this is an upper cabinet, but the valance that's in between is measured separately, so you would get those dimensions. But for the purposes of here, we'll go ahead and measure the range. That gives us an idea of the offset. So we have a 5-inch range or a 60-inch range, which means that the hood is the same size. So our crown molding falls in line with that. And then we would just continue to come around and measure the upper cabinets as needed. 6 foot 6. And then the balance of the upper cabinets here on 7 foot 8. So now that we have all of the upper cabinets, we would capture all of the square footage of the granite, again, in square footage. So cabinets are linear foot. The countertops themselves are square footages. So we would measure all the cabinets in square footages. So we would measure the widest part of the cabinet. So here I've got a little lip around the countertop here. I want to measure to the widest section of that. So I've got 2 foot 4. Again, by the total square footage of the length, so it's 7 foot 6. And the same thing all the way around, measuring all of the countertops as needed all the way around. You would want to make note of sinks. So I've got one sink here, of course, and a faucet, an additional item here to be removed if I were replacing this area. Make notes of built-in microwaves, warming drawers, refrigerators. Make notes of all of those items, as these will be things that will be removed if we were replacing any of the cabinets in this kitchen. And finally, so we've done ceiling, walls. The final thing we left is the floor area that we're in, the room that we're in. So this floor happens to be a travertine tile. We want to get the size of the tile just as a point of reference so we know. So this is a 24-inch or a 2 foot by 2 foot travertine tile. We have baseboards. We have looks like an MDF baseboard with a quarter round. So this baseboard here is a 5-inch baseboard with a quarter round. Now, kitchens are a little unusual in that the baseboards are not typically the full length of the perimeter because of the cabinets, and the cabinets are up against many of the walls. So make sure to make note of the actual linear footage of the baseboards if they are in fact affected. In this room, just taking a quick look around, this little section of 4 foot of baseboard is all the baseboard in the entire kitchen. So make note of the damages, make note of the material, and what would have to be replaced if we were doing any repairs. Thank you.